I know I can't go back. I know the world has changed, that the road ahead will be hard. This time, I'm ready, because I know war. War never changes. The general is a man defined by the wars he has fought. He knows the cost of war, but is willing to pay that price if he thinks that it will result in even the slightest chance of victory. Know your enemy and know yourself, and you can fight 100 battles without disaster. The general has a strength of 1, perception 1, endurance of 2, charisma of 10, intelligence 2, agility 4, and luck of 9. The general is an old man, well past the days of his youth, so strength, perception, and endurance are all low. He has become weak as age has taken its toll on his body, and he no longer has the skills he once had. The general is, however, an incredibly charismatic individual, able to convince almost anyone to join his side and fight for him. A charisma of 10 not only helps us to pass speech checks with ease, but also increases settlement population, gives us access to a bunch of perks that are great for this build, and helps us fund the war we will be fighting. Although he would like to be seen as a wise man, the general has failed to learn from the past, and instead clings to the simple knowledge he knows and understands. Low intelligence will also be helpful for this build, but we will still want to get the bobblehead in order to reach the gun nut perk. Agility is set at 4. Even though he is elderly, the general still has decent reflexes. In terms of gameplay, we need as many action points as we can get, as this character uses VATS fairly regularly in combat. The general is surprisingly lucky. He has survived many battle zones simply by not being shot, and he has come to rely on this luck over the years, to not only keep him alive, but to help him end others' lives too. A luck of 9 means that once we get the bobblehead, we will have access to all of the luck perks, which have amazing synergy with each other. Rewards for good service should not be deferred a single day. The essential perks for this build are Intimidation, Gun Nut, Gunslinger, Party Boy, and Inspirational. Intimidation is going to let you pacify human enemies and make them fight for you. The general would much rather make his enemies fight amongst each other than have to do the dirty work himself. To add on to this, the Inspirational perk will boost the effectiveness of your companions. As well as making enemies fight each other, you will want to directly order your companions to fight and make sure they are doing plenty of the work for you. Obviously you can't rely solely on your companions in Intimidation, and will sometimes need to eliminate your foes personally. The general prefers to use pistols as his weapon of choice, so make sure to invest in all the ranks of Gunslinger to make them far more powerful. Gun Nut is going to help with making not only your own pistols better, but also improving weapons that you can then give to your companions and those guarding your bases. Party Boy is a great perk that makes alcohol so much better than it already is. Not only are you not going to have to worry about addiction, but all effects of alcohol will be doubled, and you will also get +3 luck, helping you build criticals staggeringly fast. In addition, I feel it adds to the feel of this build, as the general has lived through all the horrors of war, so it's more than understandable that he is a heavy drinker. The recommended perks for this build are Idiot Savant, Better Criticals, Critical Banker, Grim Reaper Sprint, 4-Leaf Clover, Action Boy, Scrounger, and Local Leader. Idiot Savant is here in order to make this character level rapidly. In addition to having a naturally low intelligence, whenever you drink alcoholic beverages it will decrease it further, making Idiot Savant more likely to trigger and increasing the XP reward you gain. Better Criticals, Critical Banker, Grim Reaper Sprint, 4-Leaf Clover, and Action Boy are all going to work together to make you a formidable force in VATS, who can quickly and effectively eliminate all your enemies with critical hits. Scrounger is just going to work as a useful perk to gain additional ammunition for you and your companions. You will want to equip your companions with powerful weaponry, but the downside to this is that you need to keep them topped up on ammo, making this perk a pretty useful one to have. Finally, Local Leader is going to make settlement building far easier and will let you build a bunch more stuff at your settlements. The role-playing perks are Mysterious Stranger, Cap Collector, and Medic. Mysterious Stranger adds to the build by adding another person to your side fighting for you. You can justify this in whatever way you wish, possibly a mercenary that is paid to help protect the general, or just a powerful individual who has been persuaded to lend a helping hand through the use of the General's silver tongue. Cap Collector and Medic are both relatively useful perks, but are here mostly to open up access to all the stores and settlements. This build is designed to spend a lot of time perfecting settlements, so you'll ideally want every option open to you. Admittedly, there are some things that you won't be able to unlock without science, but this isn't too much of a drawback. The General is a bit old-fashioned, and doesn't fully trust advanced technology. Great results can be achieved with small forces. The General always believed that it would only take a small, elite force to win the war. He joined the army at a young age and rapidly made his way up the ranks for a mix of combat prowess, luck, and saying the right things to the right people. He gained the rank of General shortly before the resource wars began, and once they did begin, he was required to take whatever steps deemed necessary to win the war. He understood that the American soldiers needed not only an enemy to face, but the motivation to fight them, and to believe that they could defeat them. This led to him finding the most powerful individuals that he could, and forming the Kill Squad, a small elite force that would carry out his orders without question, and would kill without thinking about why they were doing it. The General used the Kill Squad not only to eliminate Chinese outposts, but for far darker tactics as well. He believed that the common soldier needed added motivation to fight, and his attempt to increase this was to have the Kill Squad secretly eliminate American soldiers who were rumoured to be lowering morale or who were humanising the enemy. Although the General was able to justify these actions to himself, they were unquestionably evil. His intentions may have been good at one point, but his methods by no means justified the end result he wanted. It was probably for the best that the Kill Squad ended up to be too brutal to function effectively and was ultimately disbanded. Although in another timeline he may have ended up dead, in this one he was merely discharged from the military after someone spoke out about what the Kill Squad had done and who had been behind it all. There hadn't been enough proof to justify execution, but there was enough cause to remove him. The General had to try and adapt to civilian life, and although he found a wife and had a son, he couldn't stand it. When the bombs begin to fall, he will view it as a sign that the war was lost because he personally failed. He will leave Vault 111 in this deluded state, and will seek out personal gratification through creating a new war, one in which he is the most important individual. Today we need a nation of Minutemen citizens, who are not only prepared to take arms, but citizens who regard the preservation of freedom as the basic purpose of their daily life, and who are willing to consciously work and sacrifice for that freedom. The General will focus on leading the Minutemen. Although the Brotherhood of Steel might seem more fitting as it is a specialised military faction, it's important to remember that you can't take over the Brotherhood whilst you can easily do so with the Minutemen, being put in charge only after a couple of quests. The General is looking to lead, not to follow, so there's no need to help out any of the other main factions. That being said, there isn't anything to stop you from giving the others a hand in order to gain intel on them, or get access to extra equipment that you may find useful. Whilst you are the leader of the Minutemen, make sure to heavily fortify your settlements, and equip your settlers so that you're ready for combat. Depending on which perks you choose, there will be a number of different stores available to you to build in your settlements, in order to fund the army of wastelanders that you are creating. Although you are the leader of the Minutemen, I also suggest eventually leading the Nuka World Raiders. This may seem a bit strange seeing as the Minutemen and Raiders are polar opposites in terms of factions, but there are a couple of good reasons to do this. The General is a broken man who needs a war in order to feel alive. Although having the Minutemen fight to defend themselves will fulfill him for a time, it will eventually become too easy. He will need something to make him feel like a powerful military commander once again. By taking over settlements with the Raiders, you create your own personal war between your two factions. The General cares more about there being a war to fight in than the reasons for the war itself. In terms of gameplay, this also is a really interesting way to play, as it allows you to really challenge yourself by building heavily defended fortresses and then attacking them with raiders. It will also allow you to reap the benefits of a standard settlement system and the raider settlement system at the same time. Treat your men as your own beloved sons and they will follow you into the deepest valley. The General is a far cry from Sun Tzu, but he has learned something from him at the very least. You will want to try and get every single companion in the game on your side, and use each one whenever they would be most helpful to you. If you are going to help out a settlement, then bring along Preston Garvey. If you are doing some mercenary work, bring along Macready. If you're covering power armour, grab Dance. Although the General doesn't truly care about any of the companions, he is very good at pretending to. Ideally you would want to try and get all of the companion perks, but you may just want to go for some of the best ones or your personal favourites. Wars may be fought with weapons, but they are won by men. The General isn't concerned with having the best weapons and armour. He understands that it's more important to have the right person pulling the trigger. To start off, grab the Colonial Duster off of Preston Garvey as soon as you get him as a companion. Use this until you get the Minutemen General uniform from the tunnels underneath the castle. This uniform looks great, has a bit of ballistic and energy resistance, and also gives you a charisma boost. In addition, you will want to wear a military cap throughout, as it really adds some character to the build and just suits the look perfectly. These are easily found on dead gunners and sold by various merchants. In terms of weapons, for the most part, you will just want to use whatever is the best pistol that you can find. Kellogg's pistol is possibly the best base game pistol that isn't too difficult to get your hands on. However, the Western revolver introduced in the Nuka DLC is incredibly powerful, and legendary variants of it do drop, so you may get lucky with this. I personally had 2 legendary versions of this gun drop, one of which had the Mighty prefix, making it insanely powerful. This build relies heavily on companions, so make sure you equip them with decent weapons and armour. Any non-pistol legendary should be given to your companions and equipped to them along with the required ammo. I also did the same with armour, focusing mostly on combat armour to make them look more like soldiers and make the General feel more at home. What the ancients called a clever fighter is one who not only wins, but excels in winning with ease. Whilst playing the General, you will want to use tactics and intimidation to win your fights as much as actual fighting. If facing human enemies, attempt to pacify them and make them fight their comrades. If you can't do this, then make sure your companion is taking the brunt of the enemy's firepower. This build is powerful in VATs against small numbers of enemies, so make sure to divide and conquer. Take out the weaker enemies and any stragglers with safe VAT shots, and then use your stored criticals to execute any of the tougher enemies once they become isolated. The General is heavily a settlement build, but don't forget that by helping out the Minutemen, you can potentially use settlements offensively through the flare gun to summon troops, and artillery strikes to bombard groups of enemies and soften them up before engaging them. I hope all of you enjoyed this build. I've enjoyed writing this script more so than any of the others, and I think this may have become my favourite build ever, but I look forward to seeing what all of you think of it, so make sure to comment below on your opinion. If you did enjoy this build, then please share it. This channel has started growing consistently, and I want to thank everyone who has subscribed so far. I truly appreciate every time one of you enjoys my content enough to subscribe to the channel. I feel that I've taken up more than enough of your time with this video, so I'll end things here, but thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you stay with this channel as it continues to grow.